So you just mentioned the safe seat scenario, and we're going to try something. I love role plays, and I'm going to take on the character of Sonia. And this character represents so many of the females that interact with a guy intensely in a pattern, maybe every day, multiple times a day, maybe a lot of long calls. And you're starting to think, okay, I can count on this pattern to continue. And then poof, he ghosts. Now, I've heard guys say things like, oh, I didn't want to upset her, so just disappearing was easier. Well, yeah, for him, because if she's going to cry, she's going to cry whether he says it or not. And quite frankly, in a lot of cases, girls are going to think the worst case scenario and think of 20 possibilities of why. And the not knowing hurts more than the knowing. I've heard of, let's say a guy just doesn't like the way you wear your hair. Like, that's usually going to be a lot less insulting than oh, it's something, a deep personality problem. So it seems like it's cowardly of the guy. It's not hurting her. It's just he gets to escape having to witness hurting her, which I don't think is very nice. And
Yeah,
so
and totally, I just want to say like this, that all genders are capable of this behavior of just ghosting and not being accountable for the impact. Yes, and you're right, there's always an impact. I mean, that's a horrible feeling.
And I will say, like, I've also talked to various girls where there can be ghosting from distraction, like they just kind of forgot the conversation and other ones piled up on top. But I've run into a lot of girls who also are worried about his response, how angry he's going to get, how violent he might get. And so I can understand that being differently taken in than the guy just not wanting to face emotions. To me, it's a little bit of a different situation, but all I know is what I've observed and talked to my friends about. Well, I shouldn't say all I know, but what I'm primarily pulling from. And so this character will be feeling the anxiousness of what is going on. Like, is it this thing I said? Is it this thing I did? Is it, what's why? And what does this say about me? Does this confirm any mean things that bullies have said about me in my life? How do I stay in my own grounded power when all this stuff is buzzing? Because you just don't know. And I'll try to remember, the name is Sonia.
Great. So yeah, I'll say a little bit about, this is called the safe seat practice. And I discovered it through Kat Kalegas, who is an amazing coach, relationship coach, who got it from Leslie Potter, who's actually kind of a parenting coach and this is a specialist. And this is around working with our inner child and some of that reparenting work. But it really is about bringing love to our own experience, being the nurturer that we need to have so that we can stay calm and connected and grounded and redo some of those old patterns right from our childhood and heal.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to start with the role play, or do you want me to kind of just take the reins?
I'll be in character, and can you take the reins and like guide me through the practice?
Sure. Yeah. So Sonia, maybe tell us a little bit about what just happened and how you're feeling right now.
Well, this guy seemed interested in talking to me, and we talked a lot for a certain amount of time, and I thought that was going to continue. And then suddenly, if he disappears, all I can think is this must be related to the last conversation we had. And I start thinking, what are the things I said? What could possibly have been so bothersome that wasn't shown in the moment? Like, oh, I really don't like that. And what happened to communicating about it? Like, if someone can just abandon so easily and quickly, why am I so abandonable? Why am I not worthy of being told? Like,
right.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah. So I can see this is a difficult thing to feel right now. And what emotions are you feeling? What words would you put on the feelings that you're having right now?
I feel tightness in my chest, like from here to like the ribs. It feels like a kind of like a vice and an anaconda is like squeezing. I feel tension, like just this not knowing, kind of the way, puppies seem anxious when you leave and they don't know when you're coming back. It just
Yeah.
feels like, what do I make of this? I don't understand. Like, where do I file this in my brain? What Rolodex file does it go under?
Yeah. So I'm getting so great. You're kind of jumping ahead, which is great. You're noticing how it feels in your body. You're noticing what's going on in your head. There's this kind of mental disorientation, the tightness. The first thing that you would do with the safe seat practice. So this is applied in a situation where you notice distress coming up. And I'm going to ask you on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the most distressed you've ever been, and 1 being not at all, you're perfectly calm. What number would you give your emotional state right now?
It can get up to 6, 7, close to 8.
Okay. So it can get up to that, but what are you feeling right now?
5 to 7.
5 to 7. Okay. Great. So in the safe seat practice, this is useful, kind of gauging, getting a number, because if you're in a situation with somebody, say you're on the phone or you're in person with them, if you're like a 3 or above, you really want to remove yourself from the situation. That's time to say, you know what, I need to take a break, or I need to go to the bathroom, or I need to call you back, or like whatever that is, you want to remove yourself from the situation, because at that point you're activated. Anything you say is going to just kind of escalate the intensity of the feelings. So that's number 1, is checking in and giving yourself a number, and then taking care of yourself. And then the next question you want to ask yourself is, am I willing to be with these feelings right now? Do I feel safe enough to be with what I'm feeling? So I'm just going to ask you that, like, are you willing to be with these feelings right now? Does that feel safe enough for you?
Well, they're already here and I'd rather move to getting rid of them. So I'm willing to do what it takes to digest them, so to speak.
Great. Great. And part of this is, if you're in danger physically, you want to address that first. But right in this place, um, you're willing to sit with it. So that's great. And then the next is what I asked you already. What am I feeling? And you talked about what you're feeling in your body. So again, that's the check-in. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling confused and frustrated. I'm angry. And then you talked about the tightness. Is there anything more you want to add to that? How does it feel?
I would say like the wondering about value and worth, like feeling like if I'm not positive that I have worth, then doesn't that inherently mean I must not? Because if I did, then I would know it.
So you're right. That's the next question. The next step is, what is the vulnerability underneath this feeling and emotion? And that is exactly it. Some of these ideas or these thoughts that I'm not important, I'm not enough, um, I'm not lovable, or I'm out of control, I won't be accepted. So those things that, yeah, that's the next, is identifying what's going on. So what is the biggest sort of, I would call it, vulnerability right now?
Well, I would add to that scarcity too, because if there was more than enough amazing people to connect with, then it wouldn't matter if one here or there behaved this way. But this idea of how is my judgment off? If I could think this was such a connection and then it turned into nothing, if the perception was so misaligned,
Right.
how do I even know what reality is? Like how do we stay grounded, sane? And what was the question again?
What is the vulnerability underneath this? Like, what is the fear or the self-doubt that is most present right now that you're struggling with? And I like, is there something wrong with my judgment? Can
Am
I
I
trust
okay?
myself?
Will I
Yeah.
be okay?
Will I be okay? Yeah. Oh, so this is, imagine, right? You've got an inner child and you're holding that inner child right now who's scared and is coming to you and saying, will I be okay? Right. And we're going to ask her, we're going to talk to her, like, just, honey, what would you like to hear from me right now? Or what would feel good to you right now? I'm going to ask you to just close your eyes for a moment and just go inside and imagine that, and ask her, what do you need from me? What would feel good?
a healthy protein snack and a bathrobe freshly out of the dryer.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's a start.
That's a good start. Yeah. What can you say to her? Are you willing and able to give her that?
Yeah, I'll need a few minutes to gather things, but yeah, we could totally do that within the hour.
Great. So that's something she can look forward to. That's beautiful. And now ask her anything else, honey. Anything else you'd like right now?
A hug that is so powerful that even when we're no longer physically hugging, the hug remnants last more than a week until the next hug.
That's beautiful. And what would you say to her? How would you respond to that? From your highest self, from your most nurturing, loving, truest self.
Absolutely. You take my angel, fairy, unicorn hug dust. You use as much as you want, and I'll regenerate it because it's like manna. God continually provides and refills, and there's no scarcity of the love of heaven.
Hmm. All right, so let's check in with her and say, how are you feeling now, honey? How is she feeling now?
More smiley, more like not energized like hyper, but energized like not so depleted, and a little bit of hope.
Hmm. So let's go back to that scale from 1 to 10. 1 being completely calm and 10 being the most distressed you've ever been. How is she feeling?
Maybe like 3 to 4.
That's great. That's great. And you still have a snack and a freshly dried robe to look forward to. Um, so, and then that's a place where so to do this process and then think, okay, is there something I want to address in the situation? Is there an action I want to take? Or is this something that's just fine to let go of right now? So let's kind of, you can, go back to that situation with this person who's ghosting. And is there, how would you respond again from that highest self of your place, the place of your highest self who is just tended to your upset child?
I
How are
don't
you
know
feeling
that
about that?
that I would want to send personally hugs, but perhaps imagining angels going to hug them, like still wanting the best for them, peace in their life, health, good things. I may not want that to come through me personally, but imagining like it either gets sent from heaven or through angels or something where they are blessed in that way. But also, there's certain kind of rituals that can be done about sending back energetic cords and taking back your own, and
Mm,
maybe that has to be done more than once, but taking them back, kind of like a bungee cord, unhooking and letting it reel back, or like a tape measure, and just whatever hooks they got in, cleaning that up. Like there's the Ho'oponopono, which I like to play and listen to. I sometimes play it in every room so that it kind of clears the energy of the house. But remembering that the thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and just playing it, whether you have a distinct thing in mind,
mm.
it can be surprisingly healing. So kind of just coming to an acceptance, like instead of hoping or wondering, make the decision myself. Like it has concluded. It doesn't mean can't change the mind and restart, but it's a restart, not a resume. That's, I think, a good distinction. It's if it would continue, it's a restart, not a resume, because this chapter has been concluded. Hooks sent back.
Wow, that's spectacular, Larysa.
Sonia.
Yeah, so good to see that. When you tend to your own distress, then the natural beauty of your heart that is able to just wish people well and let them go, release them and let them go and come back to yourself, cut those cords with so much love. That's I'm really touched. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do I open my eyes yet?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Anytime you want. Oh my gosh, I have the power.
Lights on, lights off.
Oh, thank you, Larysa. It's so fun doing these with you.
Thank you. It
Really
was a
enjoy
great
it.
practice, and I hope that all those who experience something similar can find their own path to calmness and relief.
Yes, please play with this and know that it's going to look however it looks for you. But if you just play with walking through those steps and being that safe place for yourself and healing and just loving that inner child that gets upset.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye.